everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to this new episode of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Tactica Imperialis.
Hello everyone.
And joining us as our guest this week, making their Podcastus debut, is a YouTuber and Twitch streamer who covers subjects ranging from Horus Heresy all the way to Warhammer the Old World, and is the owner of the Homebrew Discord server, which you can find in the video descriptions of Homebrew of the Week. It's none other than Tuppy!
Hello there.
General Kenobi, General Tuppy, whichever one you want to use, yes. So, for those listening who may not be aware of your work, would you like to explain what you do?
Sure. So, I mostly stream, mostly Warhammer-related stuff, and occasionally BattleTech-related stuff. I'm mostly doing like hobby hangout-related things, focusing around for Horus Heresy, and at the moment, mostly the Old World. So building, painting minis, and then playing games like Warhammer Total War as well. On YouTube, I've been making videos trying to explain the Old World. Previously was mostly focusing on the Horus Heresy, but I feel like most people understand the Horus Heresy at this point, so I started to pivot towards like explaining the Old World, how the game plays, and also the new lore changes, because there's quite a few things that have changed.
So I've noticed. Well, not in all settings, in fact, but that seems to be a given over the last 30 years or so of Warhammer. But yeah, welcome to the show.
Absolutely. Always nice to have someone new.
Absolutely. So, in the news this week, by the time this episode goes out, the Black Library celebration would have started, I do believe.
Indeed, although it is worth noting that not all books are available due to the whole scalper fiasco. You may remember that the limited editions of Morven Val's novel and the Blackhawk novel, I believe, were pulled, if I recall from last episode, though I'm willing to be corrected if that's been updated.
As far as I'm aware, they've still been pulled. I think they're waiting to get their anti-scalping techniques refined before they put those back on sale. Though I noticed there are a few people worried that scalpers are going to get hold of the Horus Heresy art book, because in the article they posted on Warhammer Community about it, they did point out that this is going to be a limited run release, limited to like 5,000 or so copies.
6.5, I think, is the exact number.
Oh, 6.5, my apologies.
No, it's fine. It's interesting that you raised that, because that's where I was probably going to go next, because Leaky Cheese, who we've had on the podcast several times before, everyone's favourite baby Warhound, actually made a Twitter thread talking about this, and what GW is doing is potentially actually scalper baiting, because every time they announce a limited run, the scalpers go for it. So it may be an argument of, rather than announce like limited editions, like I appreciate some books have limited editions, or some codices have limited editions, I accept that, but if you're releasing a book onto general sale and plan to limit the stock, but it's not like a limited edition, then the argument that Leaky made was just don't tell anybody that you're limiting the stock or that you're doing a limited run, because that way the scalpers are less likely to be aware that they're gonna be on limited stock and thus less likely to try and scalp it. Like, I'm not saying that it's foolproof, and I'm sure that given how leaky GW can be at times, pun completely unintended, that won't be as foolproof as you might expect, but GW plays on fear of missing out a lot, and scalpers basically eat that up for breakfast. So it's interesting as a thought of, should GW announce limited runs ever?
It is an interesting dilemma you bring up, yes. Because on the one hand, like if you mention that it's a limited run, that ensures people like people don't just go, oh, I'll order it later, and they're only to find out it's gone, kind of thing. If it's a limited run, then people go like, oh, okay, I need to order it now, kind of thing. But at the same time, the scalper issue comes up. So
it's a tricky balance to strike, especially for things like codices and big novel releases where you've got things like the limited edition box for, well, Morven Val as it was, that's now been pulled, where you are very aware there's going to be a limited run, because of course there is, because you can't make millions of that. So I don't think it would probably solve the scalper issue in and of itself, because the scalpers will just pick something that they can see is almost certainly going to be limited and just scalp the bejesus out of that, and the odd one will slip through. But things like a Horus Heresy art book, why announce that that's a limited run? They've made like 4 different ones of that book already. So, why?
It is a bit weird, yeah. Because, funny enough, when I actually asked, I actually replied to the Warhammer Twitter account asking, is this going to be just like Visions of Heresy, like with lore tidbits and stuff, or is it just going to be artwork and artists talking about the art or whatever? No response. So it's like, okay.
Helpful.
Yeah. Quite. Tuppy, what are your thoughts?
It seems like a really weird book to have a limited run on, really. 'Cause I can imagine there's more than 6,000 people in the entire world who would want to have this book. So I kind of understand Leaky's idea that this could be a book which is being baiting the scalpers with, and they're going to then do a made to order run or just bring it back into stock in the near future. So that everyone has a chance to buy it. Because it also seems like, as well, just like from like the very like concept of it being like a celebration of this giant saga of books and all the artwork and everything to do with it, seems just so weird to make it so limited.
I see your argument there. I had something in my head and I completely forgot what I was going to say. What? Oh, actually, yes, I remember now. Because while we're on the scalper issue, there was a comment that I saw on the previous episode, which was like, just log the scalper's IP address and then ban them, which is nice in practice, but VPN's a thing. I appreciate that there are some people who maybe don't know all the ins and outs of backwards tech and clever cybersecurity stuff, and I don't claim to either, but I know VPNs are a thing, so I don't think that you would be able to, unless they were being a bit of an idiot trying to get caught, that a scalper would walk into an IP address ban, because VPN's a thing.
Yeah, and also public Wi-Fi, going to your friend's house, going to your aunt's house, going to your nan's house.
Absolutely.
There's many places in which you can connect to the internet to in the modern day, so an IP address ban doesn't really work.
Yeah. No, unfortunately.
One thing I did find quite funny is that apparently GW counted a whole bunch of the end of death orders again, and supposedly, I don't know if this is true or not, but if it is true, it's absolutely hilarious. Apparently, a scalper actually phoned up customer service asking why those orders were cancelled. It's like, fucking really?
Yeah, you know why, dumbass.
So, why have none of my 10 orders been cancelled? It's like, oh, so you're one of the scalpers, I gotta take your details? Right, banned.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Not the smartest choice.
No.
Oh, wow.
Actually, you'd argue it's like a big brain 4D chess move or something, I don't know.
No, that's the exact opposite of big brain 4D chess. Like, that's proper smooth brain stuff.
Speaking about the art book, one of the things which I've seen in the Warhammer community article and all over Twitter as well is their reimagining of the artwork. The Sons of Horus instead of the Lunar Wolves.
Yeah, that's for the that's for False Gods, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice bit of artwork, though, in fairness.
Yeah, it's interesting that they've gone back and kind of traced over it almost.
Oh, there's a reason for that given, actually. There is a very good reason.
Rights issues regarding to the previous artist or something?
So, Neil Roberts has painted every single Horus Heresy artwork except False Gods.
Oh.
So, I'm quote the article here, that Neil Roberts has painted every single cover bar one. That one is False Gods. So, partly it's been done so that it's a Neil Roberts collection. But it does say that the collection does contain the original artwork too, so both will be present.
Okay, that's good.
But it's also, I think it's given Neil Roberts a chance to do the one he didn't do, because for some reason he didn't do False Gods. I guess they didn't realise how big the heresy would get or how important Neil's art style would go.
Especially considering, when you look at some of the early artwork for the Horus Heresy, the layer covers have this lavish, digitally painted artwork, and the first couple of books, it's all done in Blender, kind of thing.
I mean, I'm not knocking Horus Rising. It's a very good cover.
Oh no, I'm not knocking it either. I'm just saying it's there's a very noticeable stylistic difference.
Yeah, where does it change? Is it Flight of the Eisenstein or is it after Fulgrim where it changes?
To be honest, I think it changes. I think it changes around time of Descent of Angels. I think
That late?
because if I recall, I think Descent of Angels still use some Blender renders. Hey, but that rhymed. Haha. Sorry. Yeah, I think it did. But I think they started moving away from it from around there because I think Flight of the Eisenstein used like more traditional digital art. But I'm pretty sure Descent of Angels still used 3D models from Blender. I think. I might be misremembering. Feel free to correct me in the comments. So.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yes, speaking of the Black Library celebration, we're getting the Reader's Choice Awards version of Lord of the Night. Go buy it. It's a great book. You won't be disappointed. That's an order. But we're also getting the 20th anniversary of Deus in Carmine, the first of the James Swallow Blood Angels novels.
That's the series where Fabius Bile tries to steal Sanguinius' DNA, am I right?
It is indeed, yes.
Sergeant Wraithen.
Yes, and also the later events of the Blood Angels Civil War as well.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah. Was it
That's most definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
But, funnily enough, I'm genuinely surprised we never got a 20th anniversary of Fire Warrior.
I'm sure there's a reason.
Probably a rights issue with THQ or something. Actually, THQ went out of business, didn't they?
THQ, I think, have gone bust, yeah.
That might be why there's a rights issue.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's nothing to do with the fact it's written by Simon Spurrier, otherwise they wouldn't have put up one of his books for Reader's Choice. So
This is true.
But it's probably something to do with the rights issue, the fact that, I don't know, maybe the license for Fire Warrior is co-owned by... Because who made the game? It wasn't Sega.
I can't remember. This is a snipe and whip question.
I know THQ were involved, but I can't remember if they were the developer or the publisher. Something like that, but anyway. Yes, anyway. You're also getting the standard release of the Big Daka. So if you want to get that before the limited edition, you'll be able to. And obviously, with every order you make, you'll get a little Black Library Celebration anthology for free.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that the Black Hawk miniature is coming out as part of this as well. They gave him a Legends data sheet today, I think, if you want to play him outside of competitive. So that's something if it interests you.
I just find it funny that Mike Brooks was kind of upset with people painting him, and the people who actually got copies of the models early to paint. There were a couple of people who painted him in Death Skull colours, and Mike Brooks got very upset about that.
Because
he's a Bad Moon.
But why Death Skull in particular because I don't think the Death Skulls and Bad Moons are particularly like a blood feud.
No idea. But apparently the guy who painted the model said he did it because he likes blue. So it's like, that's a valid reason. So I painted it blue because I like the colour blue.
Reason.
I mean, I actually saw someone the other day post a model, a very well painted striking scorpion that was like a really, really striking like fuchsia colour. It was really nice, actually.
Okay.
If I find it, I'll put it in the Twitter images, which will be linked down in the video description.
Oh, it was Vincent Notley who did that.
Ah, that's it, yeah.
Yes, it was Vincent Notley.
So good job, Vincent.
The blue does look good.
It does.
It does, yeah. It really does. So what else have we got?
So if you're liking things that are limited but don't like fighting scalpers, they announced the events miniature for this year in terms of things like if you go to Adepticon, if you go to LVO, those kind of things. So the miniatures revealed this year, there's a 40k one and an Age of Sigmar one, and they're both very birdish. So the 40k one is a Kroot carnivore called the Hunter Strikes, and it is incredibly boring. Sorry.
It is a Kroot.
It is a Kroot.
It is Kroot.
The other one is called the Steel Rook, who can be used as part of a Free Guild command corps in place of the Arch Knight, who is the big, bulky guy with, I think, a hammer in the standard AOS Free Guild command squad. So he can take their place.
This one I really like. He reminds me of like a Dark Souls boss.
Yeah,
It really does, doesn't it?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Arch Knight is the guy with the bear hat and the massive axe. That's who it replaces. Sorry.
Ah. But yeah, I do
Looks like a
this
great
guy.
character option for Warriors of Chaos Army as well.
I originally thought it was something to do with the Corvus Cabal, the Warcry Chaos Warband from the Realm of Shadow. That was where I was going at first. But no, it is free guild.
I'm pretty sure that his weapon's also like, I think it's actually called a crowbill hammer or something as well, I think. Because that is the actual weapon, I think. I might be misremembering.
I am nowhere near aware. It's worth noting that if you want to pick these up, the first place to get them is Adepticon. That is the 20th of March. So there will obviously be a big preview as part of that as well. So plenty to see for us as well. So put that one in your diary.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of exclusive models and that, any luck on you getting your ethereal?
No, that one didn't happen, unfortunately, because I haven't really looked into it. I've been to Nottingham since, but it's a store anniversary miniature, not even just a store exclusive. So, and when I was in Nottingham, I was going for lunch. I wasn't going to find Warhammer, so I haven't actually tried. I get the feeling that it's going to be one of those models that I just miss out on, which is going to suck. But if it becomes that desperate that I really, 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 really want it, then I'll just I'll look on Facebook or Vinted or bloody eBay. I'm sure someone will sell it at a ridiculous markup, of course. But I did get to play a game tonight because obviously Warhammer Club at school. And I played a game against basically my mini-me, who was like, they're basically doing the same courses I studied when I was at school, and I got them into Warhammer, playing orcs, which is very funny because that was my first army. So we had a 1750 game, a proper massive game of 40k, Tau against orcs. I ran Farsight, they ran Gazkul, I ran my Riptide for the first time in 10th, and it was so much fun. And I won, which doesn't happen very often. I won!
Hey. Well done.
Yes. Did you know how broken Breaches of the Devilfish is? Because Devilfishes allow you to disembark after they advance and count as having made a normal move, but can still shoot as normal that turn. So what you can do is you can advance a Devilfish, which is up to 18 inches, disembark a Breacher team, and then shoot with them, which if you synergize it with, say, Tetras, which I've got some 3D printed Tetras, or Stealth Suits, or whatever, suddenly start stacking up to hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s, probably with rerolls at least once in there, and just shotgun to the face of any particularly light infantry / medium infantry squad and just obliterate it. And if your opponent wants to charge you for your reckless behaviour, just spend a command point and jump back at the Devilfish you just disembarked from. It's hilarious.
This has given me flashbacks to 7th edition.
Oh, it was proper Fish of Fury BS, but it was funny. And then lining up, I used my Pathfinders to spot a Gorkanaut, and no word of a lie, I took 18 wounds off with one Hammerhead gunship.
Jesus.
Because that thing is D6, +6 damage or something. Something ludicrously massive amount of damage. And then a Seeker Missile on top, which is another D6 +1 damage, and I rolled really well. So I just utterly crippled this Gorkanaut. I riptided a squad of Megadobs in one shot, and they had a really good turn too, but my turn 1 was hilariously good fun, and it reminded me why I bloody love playing Tau, because I have not played Tau properly since 7th, because I've been playing small games, I've been playing at Warhammer Club, these kinds of things. And actually playing Tau at a decent scale, playing off all the synergies, oh my god, it was so much fun. I cannot now wait for the Codex to come out so I can play Monk Car bloody properly.
Fair enough.
Indeed. Mind you, I did suffer a little bit because they changed the points values on me. They've made Crisis Suits way more expensive.
Ooh.
They put them up by 20 points per 3.
Really?
They went from 180 for 3, so 60 points a model, to 200 for 3, aka 66 points a model, which doesn't sound like much, but when you're someone like me who likes to run at least 6 Crisis Suits at a time, you notice.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. Mind you, Drukhari players had a very fun time because their army has been dog water, so they gave them a giant pile of updates to points and the mechanics and a new detachment as well. So Drukhari have had a huge update along the way.
Yeah, because God knows they need it.
Yeah, and shock horror, they've nerfed the Eldari again.
What a surprise.
Well, I'm assuming they have because, yeah, they've further adjusted stratagems, points changes, and fate dice because their win rate is 56%, and GW is happy if you're between 45 and 55. So they're just too strong.
You're winning too much by 1%. We have
so are Necrons, actually. So I'm assuming they've done some points changes for Necrons as well.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I actually haven't checked how Wait, they changed... Okay, that's just mortal wounds. Did they? Oh, they changed Overwatch. Oh no, it's stopped you shooting Titanic. That's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just having a look to see if I missed anything in terms of how Tau play. Because I use Battlescribe, so I think my rules are fine. But it's worth checking. Yeah, they didn't change anything. That's good.
Good to know. What else is in the news?
That's... Oh, there was a new Sentinel.
Much, was there?
Yeah,
the baby one.
Yes, the Hot Rod Sentinel. That's apparently its actual... Oh, no, sorry. The Hermes Light Sentinel, which it's just an ATST without its hat on. It's
adorable. It's so tiny. I love it.
It's adorkable.
I really like it.
I wouldn't call it adorable. I call it adorkable because it's really fucking dorky. It's like someone
That's
took...
what makes it adorable. It's like a pug.
I don't know. I get it, but I don't particularly like it. It's like... the front of it looks like an Aegis defense line. It's like they took an Aegis defense line, strapped it to Sentinel legs and said, that's enough.
I mean, if it works.
Yes, the design language of Solar Auxilia has always been the cheapest way to solve a solution. Like the Aurochs is just the cheapest way you can make something that functions as a Rhino. So this being what it is makes a lot of sense, and I really love it.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to building out my Solar Auxilia.
Yeah, you can apparently build it as... Apparently you can build it with an Incursus pattern as well, so you've actually got slightly slower Volkite heavy flamer variants as well, and you get 2 in a squad, so 2 in a box and 6 in a squad, so it's actually quite a lot of Sentinels if you want.
I find it weird that there's an option to make like a heavy version of a light, like a heavy version of a light light vehicle. That just seems a bit weird to me.
A little.
Because the Sentinel was always a light vehicle, and you had like a heavy version of that was like fully encased in armor.
Yeah,
and you had the light version of that, which is this, and then you got a heavy version of that, which is still lighter than the regular Sentinel. It's just weird.
Yeah, this sort of...
So it raises the question of where the regular Sentinel is in the Solar Auxilia range.
I
mean, yeah, I don't know. That's a fair point.
If they put a regular Sentinel in the Solar Auxilia range, they need to do a throwback to like the second edition Sentinels with the stupidly long legs. I'll see if I can find it.
I would not be against that.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't, if I'm completely honest. Mind you, that wasn't the only heresy model we got this week. We got a new console as well, the Siege Breaker console, which is...
the one that's like... The Primax says it's my turn to play Candy Crush.
I mean, that's one way of putting it. I mean, it's to do with a Thunderhammer, Phosphex bombs, and a giant data slate with 3D effects on it. So have fun freehanding that, suckers.
I'm generally surprised the example version they painted as Sons of Horus, because I think this would fit better as an Iron Warrior.
Well, yeah, because that's Iron Warrior's thing.
Required for one of the Death Guard's right to war as well.
Oh, are they?
Which surprises me that he's not painted up like a Death Guard. As always, it's a pretty cool model. There's been lots of like memes and jokes about the facial expression.
Yeah, he looks so happy.
And I've seen one of my tweets being shared around as a meme to do with it, which has been an interesting experience.
You're viral now, Tuppy. Well done.
Yeah, so I made the joke that he looks like I do when I play Armour Free, and my teammates call in an airstrike on themselves, and I comply.
Which is a very Iron Warriors way of doing things.
Yeah, it's like, they've called an airstrike on themselves. It's not my place to correct them.
Oh, that reminds me. I can't remember what story it was, but like the Iron Warriors are doing like an artillery bombardment, and they were blowing up the word bearers at the same time as like the loyalists. And the word bearers are like, "What the hell are you doing? You're hitting us!" And the Iron Warriors are like, "Don't worry, have faith."
Yeah, Yeah, have faith, word bearer. We all bleed today. That's just...
Which is another reason why the Iron Warriors are better than the Word Bearers.
I mean, I actually, as much as I don't like Erebus and Lorgar's Take or Leave, my current Chaos project is being painted as Word Bearers with the Dark Apostle and Cultists and all that. So I'm actually not going to trash talk the Word Bearers too much because, I mean, if we're going Primarch to Primarch, Lorgar is arguably better than Perturabo. Because Perturabo, I know
that's a hot take.
Ooh.
That's a spicy take.
I'm willing to be corrected because, like, I know Siege Perturabo gets something. Like, during the siege, I know Perturabo is a bit better until he takes his ball and goes home. But I feel like during the Heresy run of... the Heresy, Perturabo just sort of loses on Talon and nearly gets assassinated on Fal. And then, yes, he kills Fulgrim, but that was Fulgrim's plan all along, to be honest. He was pissing Fulgrim off to the point he hits him with his hammer. Like... Perturabo didn't get a good run in the mainline Heresy. Siege, fair enough, but I feel like the way they use...
In fairness, don't forget, he also beat the ever-loving shit out of Angron after Angron ascended to demonhood.
When was that?
That was in the novel Slaves of Darkness.
I forgot that part. I suppose it's...
Literally, Perturabo had his automatons form an iron circle around... Basically form a ring around him and Angron, and Perturabo beat the ever-loving shit out of him.
Okay, yeah, I think a lot of my views on Pert are sort of influenced from earlier in the Heresy, like, when you get to the later books, because I did all my work with the Legions videos way before Slaves to Darkness came out, and I sort of forget some of the details, but, like, I always come back to, as well, I've forgotten its name now, the Shadow Crusade novel with Lorgar and Angron, when Angron actually ascends, and the way...
Betrayer.
That's it. I feel like they do Lorgar very well in the Heresy. Like, I know Erebus is Erebus, but I feel like they do Lorgar really well in the Heresy run, and then he just sort of gets benched.
Yeah. I mean, the words used to describe Erebus is one I can't say without getting this video demonetized.
Yeah.
So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Suffice to say, it's a word that's very popular with Australians. Figure it out.
Yeah, you figure it out.
Erebus is a very well-written character.
Yes.
He is, but it doesn't change the fact that he is a...
Yes.
No, that's what I mean. He's written really well.
Yeah, he's one of them who's got nuclear heat of just, like, everybody hates him. And with good reason.
Yeah. I was slightly challenged that. I say he, to a point, had nuclear heat, and then later on, particularly with events that I've heard regarding Enter No Death Part 3, I'll discuss the first half of that book this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So take this with a pinch of salt because I've not gotten to that part yet, but apparently, according to some of the things he does in that book, he turns from nuclear heat to X-Pac heat. You know, basically, get off my television. I don't want to see. I don't even want to boo you. I just don't want you around kind of heat.
Oh, right. I see. Well, we'll see how that shakes out.
We'll see how it shakes out in the next episode, because I haven't gone to that bit yet, so... Yeah. I've just heard things, but I'm taking them a pinch of salt just because I've not read it for myself yet. So...
Yeah, that's fair.
But, yes. I was about to say something there, and it's gone completely out of my head. Bollocks. Yes, what else is there in the news? I've forgotten. So
Crew
it'll come back
hounds.
to me later. Fuck 'em. Crew hounds, yes. We should have actually segued into that after talking about the crew model, but yes. New crew hounds which are looking noticeably better proportioned and chunkier than the original skinny ones.
I mean, I own a box of the skinny ones. I painted them very recently for a little crew project, and I actually kind of prefer the original ones, which are a bit more elongated. Like, these feel like, well, they've been pugged. Like, their noses feel really scrunched, and they really feel like they should have a tail, but they don't.
I can see that.
I can see what you mean.
To me, if you want to compare the different crew hound models to actual dog breeds, the original crew hounds were like lurchers, or greyhounds if you prefer.
Yes.
Whereas these new ones, they're more akin to like Rottweilers.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Also, it can't just be me, but the way that they've tinted the jaws, like, especially with how jagged they are, they remind me that they look like they've all got robot jaws. like genuinely, just
yeah, I get what you mean, because that underbite, isn't it?
Oh, partly that, and also the colour tone they've gone for is like it's properly metallic grey, and it's just a sharp contrast to the greenish flesh. It's like they've got robot jaws. It's weird.
It turns out they're actually squig hounds. They are all orc robot jaws.
Yeah, and also, why do they have leg pads on their front legs?
Leg pads.
They've got like, it's not armour. I refuse to call it armour, but they've got like a bracer around their front legs and anklets around the back.
Hang on, let's have a look if I can find one.
Yeah, I should have sent it in first and foremost. Give me a moment. If you look at their legs, like,
oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
It's like the crew have just put bloody leg armour on their front legs, but they haven't. Or if they have, then why? Because it's not natural. That's armour. That's been put there by the other crew.
Oh god.
It looks like the fabric just above the hoofs on the regular Fire Warrior models.
A little bit, yeah, actually.
I mean, it could just be like, the crew equivalent of like, I don't know, a dog collar kind of thing.
Maybe. Now that I see these, I'm very glad I bought a box of the old ones. Like, if this was the only option available, I'd say, okay, fair enough, because I can see they've gone for the sort of stockier build that they've done with the crew talks and the no crew. I think they fit together quite nicely, but...
Do you know what's weird? These look very, like, build-wise, like, proportionally, they look very different from the crew hound we got from, was it like Kill Team?
The Farstalker Kimband. Yeah.
It's got very different proportions, look, because that one...
There's two in that box, yeah.
Because those ones had a much lighter build as well.
Yeah, I'm on their page. This is linked in the article, is the Farstalker Kimband. They're actually linked in the article, so I'm just looking for there it is. Yeah, the mouths feel longer on the Farstalker ones. The tails have got the same punch.
Stubbiness.
But yeah, there is I see the similarity more between these two. Like if you put them just side by side, but the mouths just feel longer on the Farstalker ones. And because they're broken up by the backpacks and the bits that they're carrying, you don't notice as much.
Right. It's the difference between Rottweilers and Dobermans.
Like, noticeable, but...
Basically, they have a very similar, like, body shape and colour scheme, but, like, Rottweiler's got a very square head, whereas a Doberman's got quite a longer snout in comparison.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
There you go. I think that's the best way to compare them, like Rottweilers and Dobermans.
Jesus Christ. But...
Yeah, I can see it.
But yeah. I don't know. I think what's interesting, though, is the way they're actually using them. So, obviously, we know the crew to get their own detachment and all of that. And they've actually decided to let crew hounds control objectives this edition, as long as you keep a character nearby, which they do, because they'll be the cavalry hero that they reveal soon enough. And they also get run and charge if they're near infantry at the start of the turn. So they could potentially they move 12, run 6, charge another 12, and have objective control if they're near a hero. So they're making crew hounds usable, which I do like. But I'm very glad I got the old models. I am. Just because...
That's understandable, yeah.
The old crew, there's something to be said about the old crew. And funny enough, actually, after the crew army box was revealed, I saw in a Facebook group I'm part of, someone was advertising, I want to buy the spare bits off the crew sprue. I don't want to buy any crew. I want to buy the spares, like the backpacks and the guns and the meat packs and things like that. Because as they explained it to me when I sold them mine, when I'd done my crew, the new models just look a bit barren. So they wanted to add the extra detailing. And it's interesting that they said that, because they've added all these extra fetishes and bits to the crew talks, but the crew themselves have been stripped back by comparison. And yes, I know the old crew hounds look really dorky, I know, and they don't actually have a tail, which I hadn't noticed the first time. But you see what I'm saying, right? About proportions and everything? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting that we're saying that the new crew have been really stripped back and look kind of barren. So they wanted to buy all the spares of the old ones before they went away. So it's just interesting that the crew range looks great. Like, let's be clear. The crew range looks great, and I'm really glad we're getting it. But it's not like a universal, oh my god, they're amazing. And I'm saying that as a Tau player who always wanted to play but never could play Kroot because they were always dog water. But yes, right, I think there's one more piece of, I suppose it's news. They brought back for Age of Sigmar, do you remember Triumph and Treachery?
Vaguely.
So Triumph and Treachery is a multiplayer game where you can basically have loads of backstabbing going on. So you get 50 command points, which, by the way, is huge. But you can spend command points to make deals. For example, if I give you a command point, then you can not attack me this turn. But, of course...
Oh, I remember now, yeah.
But, of course, you don't have to. You don't have to honour that deal. Or you can spend them to use ploys to screw over your opponent's plans. And they're doing it because in AOS Dawnbringer 4, is a contest of the Mortarks. Basically, Manfred, Neferata, Usharan, Katakros, Olinda and co just having a bit of a scrap because Nagash isn't bothering. And you can also have a special rule where one player is Nagash, and so the Mortarks can beseech Nagash or snitch on each other. And it sounds like a really fun thing. We played Triumph and Treachery once before, me and my friends, and it was funny. So, yeah, just something worth noting if you like Age of Sigmar and you like screwing people around.
Fair enough.
But yeah, news-wise, that's about it, because they talked a bit about the new snake lady, the vampire who we've talked about, but it's AOS rules, and most people aren't here for that.
No, unfortunately.
Indeed.
Never mind. Right, so, if that's the end of the news, what's everyone been reading as of late?
Nothing, because I barely had time for sleep, because I've been doing so much bloody work.
Understandable. What about you, Tuppy?
Well, I only the other day finished reading Lords of Valance, the new Old World novel, and
oh yeah,
it's something, all right. Yeah, overall, without going into spoiler territory, it's a really good book and really sets the tone for the Old World.
Okay.
And there's a really good way of introducing some of the more noticeable lore changes to this time period. And yeah, it was a very enjoyable book. So I was talking to a Book of Grudges about it. He started reading it and got put off by what comes across as a massive plot hole.
Oh.
And later on, if you finish reading the book, it actually really pays off in a really satisfying way. And
so it's more of a Chekhov's gun kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's a really weird thing to have happened. That's not how those things work. Why is he written it that way? That's odd. When you get to the second half of the book, it's like, oh.
Oh, so was it was it like the whole "would you kindly" twist kind of thing? If you know what I mean. The "would you kindly" twist being the twist from BioShock, where you found out you were being mind controlled the whole time, and the phrase was "would you kindly," and then you get the little flashback scene where every time it says "would you kindly" kind of thing.
No, it's yeah, there's none of that kind of stuff. But it's just
it's not that kind of twist, right? Okay.
No.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it was a very satisfying story overall. Did a really good job of introducing characters and reintroducing the setting and revisiting certain locations and telling us about how they were then, because the Old World is set a few centuries before the Warhammer Fantasy end times kind of time period.
Indeed.
And yeah, there wasn't really any part of it that felt incredibly weak. There was the overall story is relatively obvious, but there's enough plot twists thrown in there throughout the journey of the story to make it interesting.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's a really difficult book to talk about without talking about spoilers, because there's a couple of things that actually really frustrated me.
You can talk about spoilers. We do spoilers every single week.
We can put a spoiler warning in the description for people who want to skip ahead if you like. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. You know what? Hey, spoiler warning.
Okay. Entering the spoiler room in 3, 2, 1, go.
Vampire counts feature in it, and it really annoys me because they're a legacy army. They're not being properly supported or included in the old world. Yet the vampire counts feature.
That's
And
surprising.
it really annoys me.
Because
It's like their introduction is one of the best parts of the novel as well.
I was under the impression the book was Praetorians versus Tomb Kings.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a ghoul king shows up and his army of ghouls follows as well, and it's just like, oh, okay. Was not expecting that. And there's a lot of kind of more Age of Sigmar-y elements to it as well, with weird spirits in the fog kind of stuff, more like the I can't remember what the names are now.
That does sound like Nighthaunt.
Yeah, Night Haunts. There we go. Yeah.
I mean, spirit hosts were already a thing in fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the way it's all kind of described is a lot more Sigmarite, I suppose is the best way to describe it.
Okay.
It's like the introduction of the ghouls into it is really satisfyingly played off, because one of the main characters, who's deaf, and it's, interesting plot point, but for purposes of explaining this, scene doesn't really matter. He's on patrol, and he notices that the horses are really spooked out and that they're really not okay. And he's confused about where the other guy who's meant to be looking over the horses is. And he sees him in the dark, sat in a chair, and he looks like he's passed out, he's drunk. And he walks up, and then he notices the body's kind of writhing and all weird. And he shines a torch onto him, which he's been really hesitant to do because he really didn't want to make the horses jump, because he's in a pen full of war horses. And he sees that there's a ghoul just eating away at his chest.
Oh, lovely.
And then he's really and then he has the moment of panic, oh my god, what the? And then has a moment of clarity. It's hang on, these things don't operate on their own. They're meant to be packs of these, right? So he then runs to a breach in the castle, has a look down, and just sees the rocks beneath him just covered in ghouls. And it's just such a just thrown out of nowhere, just suddenly everything's gone bad situation, and it's just really, really well played off.
Good.
And it annoys me, because why can't we go and recreate this on the battlefield? Why can't I buy the miniatures to play out this scenario? This is something I'd really like to actually recreate on the tabletop.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds interesting. I understand vaguely the rationale of to why some of the armies have been limited, and it's partly because of Sigmar. I know it's a bit conspiratorial to say, oh, look, vampires are in Sigmar, so they don't get anything here, which is kind of true. If you look at the armies that have been legacied, all of the ones that are Sigmarizable are in the Old World section of legacy armies. High Elves are the nearest one of the main roster that carry forward, because the Empire to Free Guild I thought was relatively transferable. A lot of people disagreed with me on that, and that's fine. High Elves to Lumineth is not the best on transferability between the two. Warriors of Chaos, I guess, is probably the only one that lets you swap between the two freely, as far as I can remember. Dwarves, I guess, because their range hasn't been updated, but you can't bring back Fire Slayers and Caradron. So I think Sigmar's partly to blame for those armies being legacied. But they do have lore reasoning as to why the vampires are around but not a threat at the moment. They're a minor player. It doesn't mean that they're not there. It's just that Sylvania has either been beaten back or hasn't been settled properly or whatever, but it never says at any point there are no vampires in them there hills. So I can see why they're there, but I agree with what you're saying about, if we're going to put ghouls here, then I want to play an army of ghouls, but I have to now go play Sigmar to do that. So I get what you're saying.
Yes, the lore-wise, this has happened just after the Vampire Wars happened, and von Carstein got impaled on the fancy decorations of Altdorf, and so with the von Carstein family not being relevant makes sense, and the main Sylvanian vampires not being around, but that doesn't, this is set in the Badlands, this is more Lamia territory.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably why they've been legacies, is to say, Sylvania's not a threat, so the main vampire counts, as you would understand them, are not a major player. Doesn't mean vampires and co aren't around, though, so you can still fight with them if you want to. I guess that's the implication that they're trying to make.
Imagine if the only reason that ghouls were included is like, hey, it's a subtle reference to the whole, Bretonia became flesh eater courts meme thing.
I mean, if that's the case, then credit to the moxie on that person.
It's like, otherwise the book's really, really good. Like, the other thing that annoyed me, there's a lot of changes to who can become knights. Now, it's now just if you are of nobility. And so there's like plenty of female knights in the novel, and they're all really good characters and all really entertaining. No issue with them because of that. There's a couple of deaf knights mentioned as well, which was kind of surprising. And like they've come up with in universe like multiple different kinds of like sign languages, and like they use that in the novel as well.
Like Sister Silence battle cant type thing.
Yeah, basically is so you've got I can't remember what it's called, but like basically like scouts have like their own like kind of hand signals and stuff that's very like crude and simplistic, mostly for Pegasus Knight Riders. And so like one of the people who's deaf learns to use that to communicate with people. But then there's also something called Pilgrim Speak, which is for the people who've taken a vow of silence on their quests.
Okay, that's clever.
For the lady. And that's a lot more complex and a lot more descriptive and basically just a in-universe equivalent to like full sign language, and it's really cool. And
that sounds cool.
Like throughout the journey of the story, one of the more arrogant knight-errants learns how to speak it properly to talk to one of his rivals who's deaf, who isn't a knight, and like it's like really interesting like relationship between those two.
Yeah, that sounds cool, to be honest.
And there's even like later on that knight-errant is paralyzed from waist down after fighting the Ghoul King. And after that, whilst being able to, unable to move his legs, he still becomes knighted. So we have lots of like disabled knights now, and it's like all just played in really nicely and just really elegantly into the story.
Sounds good, to be honest. I like that.
The thing that annoys me is they gave one of the Pegasus Knight Riders a bow.
Oh. No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's against code of chivalry, isn't it?
Yeah, that's rule number 1 in the Code of Honor. You will not use a ranged weapon.
Oops.
So that's the only issue I have with all of these, like, in quotation marks, law changes. Because that's like a very significant part of the Bretonian law. You do not use a ranged weapon if you are a knight. It's rule number 1 in the Code of Honor. Because it was a ranged weapon that was used to dishonorably kill the first king of Bretonia.
Ah.
So, yeah.
What's the phrase? Whoops.
Yeah. It's like, I get it. Rule of cool. Like, you've got the Valkyries, the equivalent of Valkyries, female Pegasus Knights, being awesome, like flying through the sky, like jumping down with their lances and their horses obliterating hordes of skeletons. When you got this one who's just kind of circling around, just raining arrows, and it's like, okay, I get it. Rule of cool. Absolutely.
But let me find out in the sequel she's actually a widow for disguise.
See, that would make it. That would be a good payoff, but no, unfortunately. Yeah, so to conclude rambling, if you're interested in the old world, you absolutely need to read the book.
Fair enough. Right, welcome back from the spoilers for Lords of the Lance. Yeah, I can't believe The Rock turned heel.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. Hollywood Rock.
And I suppose the bit that isn't a spoiler that we can probably say outside the spoiler zone is, if you are interested in Old World, go read it, I think is a fair thing we can say without spoiling anything. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's
fair. So it's fantastic.
Yes, and obviously, Remleiz, you didn't even try with the Scalper battle, but you did get your hands on End of the Death 3. So,
yeah, I got an ebook copy. It's like, I'm not paying 300 fucking quid for a fucking scalp copy. Fuck you.
Yes. So, settle down, children. Gather round the fire, because we're almost at the end of the story now.
We're almost there. So, back into the spoiler room in 3, 2, 1.
Triple threat at WrestleMania.
No quip this time. I
Triple threat at WrestleMania. There you go. There's your quip.
Yeah. Hashtag justice for Sullivan. Anyway, altogether different thing, but I'll go into details later. But anyway, Yes, I'm only about halfway through this book so far. I tried to get through a bit more, but just didn't have time.
It's fine.
Sorry. But anyway, we start off not on Terra, but with Gilliman. It was like, ooh, finally some progress with him. Thank fuck for that.
Yeah, because like, where's the last time we saw him? Was it not Angel Exterminatus? That's the wrong book.
We last heard from him at the end of End of Death Part 1, I believe, where he was transmitting a message saying, like, we're only, like, a couple of days out, kind of thing.
Yeah, because, like, End of the Death Part 2 takes place over the space of about 5 minutes, so...
Pretty much. But yeah, Gilliman's transmitting a message to Terra saying, like, you know, we're only a couple of hours out, just hold on a little long, we're only a couple of hours away now, hold on. And Gilliman's being really, you know, irritable, testy, he's just desperate to find out, is everything okay? Oh god, what's going to happen when we get there? Shit's going to pop. Ian and Theo, give me a status report. It's like, we just gave you one 15 minutes ago. Give me another one. Okay, nothing's changed, but I'll read off all of anyway. Blah, 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 blah. So they start approaching the area of the warp that's enveloping the Sol system at this point. And they're discussing... okay, so what should we do in regards to going through this? Because we can't penetrate it with our probes, or you can't scan through it. What do we do? Do we just go in as we are in formation, or do we, like, go in single file and have, like, you know, a tether between each ship so we, you know, don't get lost kind of thing? Well, if we do that, then we're, you know, easy pickings for the traitor should they ambush us. It's like, yes, I know, but this is only a theoretical. I just need just give me ideas. And as Gilliman's talking about this with his, you know, his officers, one of the ship's bridge personnel reports that there's a contact. It's like, there's a ship coming. What is it? I'm not entirely sure. It's very big. It looks like a Gloriana class. Which one? I don't quite know because it doesn't match any other Gloriana class on record. Which one?
Vengeful Spirit.
I think it's the Vengeful Spirit.
Now, what's interesting here is, obviously, I don't want to cut you off because I know we're going somewhere, but that implies that if the Vengeful Spirit is in the area of the warp around Sol, Gilliman is either the fight with the Emperor is already over, or Horus tried to abduct the Emperor and run for it. But that latter option is completely unlikely.
No, it's not that. Basically, it's a Vengeful Spirit. It's bigger than what it is. It's what it's meant to be.
We knew that.
We got another contact. It's another Gloriana class. Oh, is it the Conqueror? No, it's the Vengeful Spirit. What do you mean it's the Vengeful? It's already there. Yeah, we got another one. Another contact. It's the Vengeful Spirit, and another Vengeful Spirit, and another Vengeful Spirit, and another, and another, and another. It's like
the geometry is warped.
The geometry's changed and the clocks have stopped. Thankfully, it hasn't been said.
That's true.
Yeah. We then cut to the immediate aftermath of Sanguinius' death, the psychic shockwave caused by his death, and the birth of the mass outbreak of the Black Rage throughout the Blood Angels.
Let's go, mass murder angel, baby. Let's go.
The Black Rage is hitting all the Blood Angels at once. They're going berserk. They're just like dropping their weapons, just tearing everything apart, teeth and claws. You know, and, you know, Dab's describing this as like, you know, their vision is red, their rage is black. And I thought, ha, nice. And then he ruins it by repeating it over and over again. It's like, yes, Dan, we get it. You don't need... Saying it just once is more effective than repeating it over and over and over again.
Twice is as many... twice. You can stop it twice.
But yeah. On Terra, the Blood Angels basically like go into like mass frenzy and they're launching themselves at the Chaos Space Marines. Or traitors rather. The loyalists are going, what the fuck are you guys doing? And the traitors are going, what the fuck are you guys doing? Kind of thing, because they're not expecting this, you know, mass counterattack. It's like...
Question, are they attacking loyalists too?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Because there's a bit with Fafnir Ran. He's fighting Ascalon. Like, Ascalon's trying to tear his throat out, and Ran's like, what the fuck are you doing, you muppet?
Yeah, Ascalon is, just for context in case you haven't kept up, he's the first captain. Like, he is probably the most capable Blood Angel in a fight not named Sanguinius, and anyone...
It's not just that. It's not just that. He's the captain of the Sanguinary Guard.
And he's the only Blood Angel... Hang on, wait. He's the only Sanguinary Guard left on Terra.
He is, yeah. Because he was locked outside the Eternity Gate.
Indeed, because Sanguinius was like, if I remember the old version of the story, I forget how the new version goes. The old version was like, Sanguinius was like, he knew in his own head he was going to die. So he was like, someone has to survive from the Sanguinary Guard because I know I'm not coming back.
Something like that, yeah.
All I'm currently picturing is just Ascalon just like trying to like just wrap around Fafnir's shield, just trying to get to him whilst he's just holding him away with a shield and just continuing to fight with his axe in his other hand.
Oh, Rand's not using a shield, he's using an axe in both hands.
Of course.
Like Hunter and Headsman, or whatever I think they're called. Also, I want to preemptively apologise if there's any dropouts in my audio. My recording software decided to go and have a little sissy fit. Or hissy fit, rather. I have no idea what's going on. I've got no other processes running in the background. It's just being weird. So if there's any missing gaps in my audio, that's why. So please bear that in mind.
Okay.
I'll try my best to edit it if possible. So, but yeah, Ascalon ends up biting a chunk out of Fafnir Rand's gorget.
Ow.
Like, literally just biting a chunk out of it. Now, bear in mind, he bit a chunk out of plasteel and ceramite.
Yeah, I was wondering when you said gorget, as like, has he got through to his neck or something? I was like, how has he got through the armour?
He literally just bit through the armour.
Christ. Christ.
Yeah, and he's standing there with, like, you know, a piece of armour wedged between his teeth kind of thing. And the only reason he doesn't kill Ran is because some worldie just turn up at the same time, you know, they get in the way, and Ascalon's like, I kill you now, kind of thing. And Rand gets dragged into, like, the wreckage of a rhino by another Blood Angel, Dominion Zephon. Now, Zephon is the only Blood Angel who seems to have retained some, you know, measure of his senses. He's struggling, but he's still,
Sane.
you know, cognizant.
Is sane too strong of a word?
I'd say he's more aware of his senses, but not completely sane because he's struggling. Like, his eyes have gone yellow, his fangs have fully emerged, and he's physically struggling to keep it under control, kind of thing.
Oh dear.
Doesn't know why. He theorizes maybe it's because of the fact, like, you know, most of his body is now cybernetic, so he's used to pain constantly, kind of thing. Like, because they're all feeling the pain of Sanguinius' death, blah blah blah.
Yeah, because part of my brain was like, is he sane enough to know why and enunciate why this is happening? Like,
If I remember correctly, yes, he does mention, like, he's sent Sanguinius' death, yes.
Yeah, because, like, obviously the Blood Angels go through, they're basically living out Sanguinius' final moments, is how I recall the Black Rage working. But
Yeah.
that's never enunciated. So it's interesting that, obviously, the Black Rage is a known parameter in later days, but no one ever really talks about the why of it, because, well, why would you? So it's interesting that Zephon is able to go, yes, we know, this is awful, Sang just died, and with that psychically connected to him, even though psychics aren't supposed to be a thing, that we've all gone insane, and we're sorry, but we can't stop this.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I apologize for the gap in the audio there. We're recording stuff, it's just being absolutely weird. I have no idea why. We then cut to... Try and remember the order of things. If I get the order mixed up, I apologise. We cut to Perturabo.
Oh, speaking of him from earlier.
Yeah, you were expecting that.
No, I wasn't.
Perturabo's having a tantrum. Quelle surprise.
Kelsey, your fucking breeze.
Okay, I was expecting that.
Yeah, he's just like... Because he's like seeing the reports still coming through from Terra. And it's like... And his mindset was like... He never viewed the act of, you know, a tactical withdrawal as dishonorable. He was always practical. It's like, if I can win, I will throw as many bodies as I can at the situation. If there's no way I can win, I'll just, you know, cut my losses and leave. Because that's just a smart way of doing things, pretty much.
It's pretty sensible, yeah.
And he realized, like, well, there's no tactical way that Horus can achieve victory. So, fuck it, I'm not wasting any more on my kids. Screw you guys, I'm going home. But he's looking through the reports, and against all parameters, Horus is about to fucking win. And he's like, this is bullshit, kind of thing.
Almost like, how is Horus doing this?
Yeah. And he starts pondering, it's like, well, should I turn back and, like, you know, beg for his mercy after abandoning things when he's so close to victory? Maybe, I don't know. But then he realizes the reason why Horus is able to come this close to victory is because of chaos. So he realizes, like, well, I was basically bred to be a weapon, but I need to now become the perfect weapon, which I think is setting up his later ascension to demonhood.
Well, that's the Iron Cage incident, isn't it?
Yeah, this is basically him setting up his motivation behind wanting to ascend to demonhood. So it's like, okay, so this is the justification behind it. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, because, like, why... obviously, up to this moment, was there any indication that Pert wanted demonhood, or thought demonhood was cool, or was envious of Angron and Lorgar and co? Actually, Lorgar hasn't ascended yet, but...
To my knowledge, up until this point, it's been repeatedly reaffirmed that Perturabo thought, ascending to demonhood was a stupid fucking idea. He thought, like, selling yourself out to chaos was a dumb thing to do. He did not like that idea. And that's been repeated up until like, halfway through the Siege of Terra novels.
Right.
Because, like, you lose your humanity, what's left? You become a slave again, kind of thing.
A slave to darkness, badumch.
It's like he had a pretty low opinion of the Emperor's children in Angel Exterminatus for what Chaos did to them.
And that's before Fulgrim ascended.
So this is kind of like the way of justifying, justifying his change of mind, as it were. Right. We then cut to Lorgar. It's like, oh, I wasn't expecting you either. Tie up all the loose ends.
Well, they have to.
Lorgar and a bunch of the word bearers, most of the word bearers, in fact, they're on this like backwater planet in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, and it's a world where the population, like the civilization, everything involved in civilization is ritual based, like things like reading palms, reading water, reading smoke, reading fire, that kind of thing. Like lots of like prophecy and divination, that kind of thing. And Lorgar's like, I like these people, kind of thing. And he's basically like corrupted them, to worship chaos, like the old four, as it were. And he realizes like, so a king, the Dark King the crippled king will now ascend the throne. It's like, so Horus is going to take power, but he's going to have like no ability to use it. But we all know, the crippled king on the throne, it's going to be the Emperor on the Golden Throne, let's be bloody honest.
Yes, indeed.
So he's going to wait and see what happens. Meanwhile, there's a lot of meanwhiles. Back on the Vengeful Spirit. As we know from last time, John Grammaticus and Alanius Pius, they were basically told by the Emperor, fuck off and go and, finish your, little string trail, just so you can find your way here in the first place, because the geometry's changing, the clocks have stopped. What was it? Yeah, so Grammaticus complains like, it'd be so much easier to find our way back if we actually had a point of reference, and it's a shame that, my old, Eldari compass doesn't work anymore. And he pulls it out to, like, prove his point. It's like, see? Oh, wait, it's working. It's perfectly intact. What the hell? Oh, yeah, because when the Emperor healed everyone, he restored all of our equipment to brand new as well.
Convenient.
Yeah, and then Alanius Pius goes, oh, hang about, reaches into his pocket, and what's been perfectly restored after being shattered last book? The anatheme.
Oh, shit.
That's been restored, and not only that, it's restored to pristine condition, never been used. So it's like, it's more deadly than ever before. It's like...
Oh, shit.
And then Pius goes, right, we need to go back. What do you mean we need to go back? Well, we need to give this to the Emperor so he can use it to shank Horus.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Is this the way of getting Grammaticus / Pius into the... Now, I appreciate... I'm going to ask you now, just because we don't get... Have you read the fight yet?
The fight has started. But
right.
Again, from what I've heard, the fight takes up most of the book as well, so...
Well, I was expecting that. I just didn't know where you're up to.
Yeah. Again, I'm halfway through the book, but there's some other stuff that's happened in the interim.
Fair enough, yeah.
But as they're having a discussion, they hear footsteps and hear talking. They duck into an abandoned building because it's on the Vengeful Spirit and there's a ruined village on the Vengeful Spirit because of the warp shenanigans. Traitor Imperial Army walk past, and as they're thinking about, okay, we need to find a way back to the Emperor, they get psychically contacted by Acte, formerly Cyrene Valantian.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you're alive. Yep. Can you tell us where the Emperor is? We need to find him so we can give him the anathema. I can't find his position. I can, however, find Horus's position. That'll do, because the Emperor will be with him, fighting him. So that'll do. Give us the position. It's going to be hard. Yeah, just give us the damn position. Oh, look, the Traitor Guard have come back. Yeah, just give us the damn position. They cut through the veil of reality and jump in. That's the last we hear of Grammaticus and Pius for a while.
Fair enough.
Speaking of Acte, because she got crushed last time after she basically blew up Erebus.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, who survived the blast, because of course he bloody well did.
Because he's Erebus.
Indeed. Because she's a perpetual, she was basically like trying to heal and restore herself whilst buried under like hundreds of tons of debris. And she wasn't the only person buried. Basically, she has physically merged with the Psycho Cat, who was part of Alanius Pius's, Argonauts, so to speak. They've basically merged into one being now, physically merged into one being.
Okay.
Who Acte takes on the name of Cat Moriana. For those in the know, I think you know where this is going.
For those who are vaguely in the know, I've forgotten where this is going.
Have you ever heard of a character a blind character called Moriana the Crone?
I'm guessing it's got something to do with the Inquisition, but no.
It's got something to do with Abaddon.
Oh, wait. Abaddon, seer guy, character, guides Abaddon in his early time and takes the vengeful spirit with him? No,
woman. Cat Moriana.
Sorry, you know who I mean though. So she's with Abaddon when he leaves and stays on the boat, and Abaddon sort of takes her into the original Black Legion, right?
Not quite, but she is involved in giving Abaddon like telling his fortune in regards to the Black Crusades and all that, particularly the 13th Black Crusade.
Right. Yeah, I admit I had forgotten that, so thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, because also I just want to say, if this is where they're going, I fucking called it! All the way back in 2018 or whatever it was.
Jesus.
Call that as well. Thank you very fucking much, Sunshine. Go fucking Cockney. Yeah, do one. Apologies to all the Cockneys listening, all three of you.
What the hell was that?
That was a very, very crappy Cockney impression. Mainly because
yes, I know what it was, but
mainly
what?
Mainly because my mum's side of the family, despite being Irish, they grew up in Tottenham. But anyway.
Oh dear.
Yeah, do one. That's all. What was it going? I don't know. Tangents. Yes. Right.
So
yes.
Acte has made herself into Abaddon's Super Psycho.
Not quite yet. She's taken the name of Moriana, which is where they're going with this, it seems like. But she gets discovered by those Traitor Guard as well. They find her position.
Mm-hmm.
And they're shooting at her. But then, and she ends up using her new powers, which she got from Cat, who's a powerful psycho in her own right. And basically launch a whole bunch of rocks at a bunch of these guardmen, killing a bunch of them. But they're still shooting at her. She's running because, if they find her, they'll kill her, and they'll kill her again and again and again and again, which is not fucking fun.
No.
But she ends up getting rescued by a bunch of loyalist Imperial Army soldiers, which is the same platoon from the previous book. The one where they found the abandoned dungeon, they kept finding the doors kept knocking, that one. It's them. It's like, okay, we got a plot point that finally fucking paid off. Thank God for that.
Okay, admittedly, there were that many tedious plot points that were seeming to go nowhere. I kind of forgotten half of them.
Yeah, I'm just glad that one actually got paid off. So it's these guys. Okay, brilliant. And that's the last we've heard of Acte so far. I forgot to mention from last time, I think, when Rogel Dawn first uncovered Acte and basically, helped her out of the rubble, she basically said, if you find anyone, give them this seal, the seal of the Praetorian, and tell them, you have my authority to basically, requisition him and go and help the Emperor. Okay? Good. So Moriana shows the seal to these loyalist soldiers, I have the Praetorian's authority, you're going to do what I say. Okay, sounds good.
Yep, fair enough.
I'm not jumping back to Loken & Co. just yet. I'm going to say that till last.
Well, yeah, we know what's happening to Loken.
Yeah.
We don't have to be told what's happening to Loken.
Yeah. Just because, like, that their stuff started earlier in the book, but I'm not going there just yet. I'm going other bits first.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back on Terra, Basilio Foe has finished his weapon, and he's decided, right, I've done what you wanted. I'm going to go now, because I don't want to go back to custody. Thank you very much. And basically, like, he ends up killing one of the one of Malcador's chosen now is assigned to guard him. So, nope, slice your throat open with a scalpel. Thank you very much. I don't know why I'm talking like this. It's kind of a fucking habit now. But yeah, the custodian with them, I've forgotten the fucking name. Oh, God.
Are they a relevant custodian outside of this book?
Yes. I think it was Amon something.
Oh, that rings a bell.
Yeah, I can't remember his full name, but I'll just call Amon for sake of convenience.
I'll Google it out while you talk.
Amon's basically saying to, like, the Selenar gene priestess who's with them, right, we're being assaulted by a shit ton of traitors. Activate the weapon. Are you sure? This is like Exterminatus grade. Yes. Are you going to take full responsibility for this? Yes, just activate the fucking weapon.
Remind the audience, what is that weapon?
The genophage virus that will basically kill all transhumans. Like all space marines, all Primarchs. Everything.
Okay, just checking.
It basically is like, the big off button. It's like kills everything.
Yeah, I remember it being really important. I just couldn't remember the exact details. So,
yeah, the Selenar tries to find Basilio Foe. She finds the Chosen who's had his throat slit. He's still barely alive, like covering his throat, trying to stop himself from bleeding out. It's like, where's Foe? Upstairs. Why is he upstairs? Oh, the reason it's upstairs is because Malcador had a secret escape boat. Or jet, or plane.
Did
whatever.
he now?
Yes, he did. So Foe's going to try and commandeer that. So I've forgotten the name of the Selenar, but I'm just going to call it Selenar for its sake of convenience. So Selenar goes up to try and find Foe, and Foe's taunting her from the darkness. She can hear him moving around, and then she notices from one of Malcador's displays, an electro rapier sword has been removed from its display. It's like, oh, he's got that. But she's got like a cauterizing tool in her hand she picked up earlier as like a makeshift weapon, which is like the setting set to maximum. Like a melter cauterizer, shall we say. It'd be funny.
Nice.
Foe ambushes her. They have a little fight, but her little cauterizing tool is not a real weapon. It does shit damage. Foe impales her with the rapier. So Selenar literally just stabs him in the eye with a cauterizing tool.
Ow.
Melts his eye out. But she ends up dying in the end. And Foe's like, right, now I can escape. Oh, what's that in your hand? Oh, it's an alarm to alert the custodian. Oh, it's a shame you never pressed it. Oh, no, wait, you did press it. Fuck.
I was going to say, like, I mean, the fact the custodian hadn't noticed is bad enough, but yeah, now there's an alarm going off, so.
Yeah. So Foe's like rushing upstairs. Amon ends up following him. As like, I'm going to escape. The fuck you are, and impales him and like to the side of the boat. So the fuck you is.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
But it's okay because they end up getting rescued by like two Sisters of Silence and a White Scar, so it's all good.
It's not Raran. No, not Raran Demian. That's someone else entirely.
No, it's Amon something.
I'm just looking down a list of notable custodians. There's a Quillian there, but that's not it.
Amon Taramakian. That's it.
Oh, Taramakian. I have heard of him.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just remember the first name. I couldn't remember the surname. So Amon Taramakian, yes.
Yes, that name rings a bell.
So yeah, that's the end of the Basilio Foe plotline, not Basilio Flow. Basilio Flow sounds like a rapper's name. Basilio Flow Rider, there we go. Deep cut.
Dear God.
Deep cut indeed. Meanwhile, with the Golden Throne, Malcador is pretty much dead at this point. Volgan had enacted the Psyker protocol, like feed Psykers into the Golden Throne. He's run out of Psykers, and it's not working. And Malcador's, like, his consciousness, what little is left, is basically saying, like, don't blame yourself, Vulcan. Yeah, I know you have, like, the biggest conscience of all the Primarchs. It's not your fault. Please don't blame yourself. But just hold off a little bit, because I just need to send a message to the Emperor. No, Vulcan, don't activate the Talisman of Seven Hammers. No, don't. He can't fucking hear me. No, just give me a bit more time. He's like, no. And that's what we hear from so far. Now, the bit I think everyone was waiting for. The Emperor, Loken, Litu, and the Custodian whose name I forgot. Shows you how important he is. Oh, no, wait, no. I completely forgot. Sorry, my mistake. Valdor and his custodians are basically fighting their way through. They fought their way through the demons. They're climbing up the side of the sheer wall, which ends up being a part of the orbital platform. They're attacked by Sons of Horus. They're fighting their way through. I keep forgetting his name. Valdor ends up fighting the leader of the Justarin, a guy called Sykar. Sykar ends up beating the ever-living shit out of Valdor with his power fist, like just punching him repeatedly in the face.
Sorry. I appreciate warp enhancements are a thing, but a Justarin Terminator is beating the shit out of the Captain General of the Custodes,
who has been fighting non-stop for what is in real time only 20 minutes, but in warp time was about 6 days.
I know, but let's not pretend like the Justarin were fresh either.
These ones were.
Lazy bastards.
Well, they were kept behind as last line of defense, on the Vengeful Spirit.
Okay, well, they did a shit job because the Emperor's already through, so...
Yes, but, they can't be everywhere at once, considering, you got the Emperor here, you got the Custodians here, you got, the Blood Angels here, you got Dawn here, kind of thing.
Yeah, I get it.
They're fighting their way through Justarin. Then Justarin fall back. And Valdor goes, they're trying to bait us into a trap. How do you know? I saw their hand signals. They think they're so clever, they're not. They're little bastards. So what are we going to do? We're going to spring the trap, of course, by punching them in the face. Because why not? And as they end up being surrounded by not just Sons of Horus, but also some word bearers that turn up as well, because of course they do.
Yeah.
They're fighting their way through. They're vastly outnumbered, about 50 to 1. And then Dawn shows up. And Sons of Horus are like, oh, fuck, it's Dawn. Run for it, lads.
Because no matter how knackered Dawn is, a Primarch is still going to whoop your ass.
Primarch, yeah. But, they're still outnumbered. There's some ripples of panic for the Sons of Horus and the Word-Bearers, but Abaddon and Erebus are like, no, just fight you bastards, just keep him away from Horus, And then there's a bunch of screaming, and Horus turns around, no, not Horus, Abaddon turns around and goes, the fuck was that? Oh, it's the Blood Angels. Oh, they're frenzied. I think we're kind of fucked, lads. Because the Blood Angels are tearing everyone apart. Because, their rage is, no, their vision is red and their rage is black. Kind of thing. Yes. But yes, as this is all going down, it's noticed by Loken and co. And Loken says to the Custodian, hey, should we actually go down and help those guys? Because, having Valdor and a few other Custodians and Dawn, that could be very fucking useful.
Yes, it could.
And the Emperor speaking for the Custodian was like, no. But no. Well, shouldn't we? No. Okay.
To be fair to the Emperor, anyone that goes in that room with Horus is going to die.
It's not just that as well. It's also the fact that the Emperor's logic was, this is proving to be a valuable distraction. They're distracting Horus's forces for us.
Distraction Khan effects. Oh boy.
Exactly. Or Distraction Dawn. There you go. Distraction Dawn.
Distraction Dawn.
It's a very effective distraction.
Yes. It's a shame he didn't have his colossal chain blade. He was only using a regular one, but anyway.
Shame.
I had to put the meme in somewhere. I'm sorry. So, the Emperor, the Custodian, Litu, and Loken, and they make their way into Lupercal's court. And, they see the darkness or whatever, and, okay, where's Horus? And then Litu gasps, everyone turns around, and they see the body of Sanguinius has been crucified to the wall.
Oh.
And it's like, oh, that's different.
Well, if there was any chance of Horus getting out of this alive, it just went to 0.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's kind of fucked up. And the Emperor tells Leto and Loki, like, take his body down. Don't disrespect my son. Take his body down. Yes, sir. And as they do so, and it's a very weird way of describing it, but, and I quote, they hear Horus smiling. How you hear a smile, I don't know, but...
you hear the muscles move if you've got super hearing, I guess.
I guess, but it's just a bit of weird language. So, like, oh, they heard him smile. So that's just weird language to me, I don't know, but...
Yeah, I hear you.
There might be some kind of deeper spiritual meaning, I don't know. I'm not an English teacher.
Nope, neither am I.
It's like the whole... oh, the curtains were blue because they represented, the character's depression, and the author says, no, they were blue because they were fucking blue. Kind of thing. I digress.
Pretty much.
So, they actually do a bit of a reenactment of the classic speech from Realm of Chaos. Poor Sanguinius, he could have been, I offer him a place of power in my new regime. He could have sat at the right hand of not a god this time, but at the right hand of the incarnate. Personally, I think that's a bit of a weaker line saying that, because I think sitting at the right hand of a god is a stronger line, personally.
Oh, it's a more powerful line, but it doesn't reflect where Horus is.
No, but you could argue he has become a god because he's basically got the same amount of power as the Emperor now, because the whole Molech thing.
Yeah, I know. But I don't think Horus views himself as a god.
No.
A challenger to the gods, maybe, but not a god.
You could argue he could view himself as a figurative god, as it were.
Perhaps,
but
yes.
That's another issue entirely. But yeah, he talks about he says some of the same lines from the original speech, and then the Emperor says why instead of saying why before, and he says why afterwards. It's like, what do you mean why? Why? You killed my son. I was like, oh, yes, I killed Sanguinius. Yes, but then Horus realizes, oh no, he's not talking to me. He's looking past me. He's looking behind me.
To the gods.
Yeah, because the Chaos Gods are in the fucking room. They're literally there watching. It's like, hi.
How metaphysical? Oh, because the Chaos. I know warp fuckery is a thing, and I know the Chaos Gods can't manifest in real space, and I know we're on the Vengeful Spirit. But how literally are we taking that statement?
I'd say a good 65% literally.
Right. Well, I get the metaphor, because obviously there's the thrones for the gods behind where Horus was fighting Sanguinius on the throne and all of that. I know that.
Yeah.
So I can see the metaphor, even if it's not real. But I mean, if the Chaos Gods are there...
I'm just having this mental image of like Nurgle just sitting there with a big tub of popcorn. It's like, sup?
It's just Big E. Just like...
Yeah, pretty much. That'd be quite funny. To any artists listening, please draw that scene of Nurgle just sitting there eating popcorn while watching the fight. That'd be great.
Yeah, the problem is that if we did it with...
Someone absolutely needs to do it.
Yeah, that sounds very good.
So I didn't hear what you said, Toby, sorry.
I said someone absolutely needs to do that.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love that, with the fact that Horus thinks he's the big I am and then goes, actually, this is actually above my head. I am over my f***ing head now.
It's not just that, it's the fact that Horus gets so incensed, like, after all I've done, you can't even acknowledge me, for fuck's sake? What the fuck, Dad? Kind of thing.
No. Resist the Roman Reigns joke.
Acknowledge me.
He couldn't resist.
Dun, dun, bum, bum, bum. Sorry.
Yes, we get the point.
Yes.
But yes, I love that idea, though, of even now the Emperor isn't mad at Horus. Like, obviously Horus has done horrific things and caused all of this destruction, but at the end of the day, is it Horus's fault? And that's a big metaphysical question that I don't think this book is trying to answer, nor should we try to answer.
No,
but
especially considering I have more to say as well. Because as Horus is having this pretty one-sided conversation with the Emperor, the custodian basically says something, and Horus says, "Shut the fuck up." Leto says something, "Shut the fuck up" as well. Loken says something, and Horus is like, "You." Kind of thing.
It's like you're irrelevant. You can fuck off.
And he's like, "You." It's like, "Oh, you." oh, Dad, you brought a guy who was once my most favourite son to me, to see who I am now. Oh, that's a low blow even for you, Dad, kind of thing.
And Loken's just like, I just got here. This isn't the Emperor's fault. I was just here, by the way.
And Loken's like, yeah, go on. Show me who you really are, Dad. It's like, shut the fuck up, son. It's like, no, Granddad's right. No, shut the fuck up. And all that thing.
Horus is a man-child.
Yes. And then the Emperor and Horus has fight. Constantly described as like, they're moving like, the speed of gods, and like the Emperor's enveloped with this blinding light, and Horus is this dark shadow, and they're fighting, and that's where I've gotten so far. To be continued.
Yeah,
oh, no, wait, I forgot one more thing. I forgot one more scene. Sorry. I completely forgot about the Sigismund plotline. Because
why does he have to have a plotline? He's just running around killing everyone that comes near him. He doesn't need a plotline.
He's with Euphrates Keeler.
Yes, I know, but it's not his plot. It's hers.
And let me finish.
Sorry.
But yeah, Sigismund's forces are vastly outnumbered by the Death Guard. They fight anyway. It's like, well, we're going to die. We're going to take as many as we can with us. Sigismund then realized, wait, there's a leader. If I kill the leader, the Death Guard might break because the Death Guard are fucking cowards. Right. Guy called the Carrion Lord. I'm going to fight you. I'm going to kill you. Hurrah, he's dead. The Death Guard aren't breaking. Why aren't they breaking? Oh, it's because they're operating as one single colonial mass of like cells. Like they're acting like a disease, don't you know? It's like subtle.
Subtle.
Yes, but then Euphrates Keeler's like civilian forces, they basically join in with the fight as well, and the Death Guard are like, okay, this is a bit weird. Yeah, we're gonna withdraw for a bit because we don't know what the fuck's going on. We're not scared. We're just confused. Hooray! We drove the Death Guard off. Yay! But we need to keep going. Let's go this way. The Death Guard are falling back through this canyon. We'll pursue them. Oh no, the Death Guard rear guard turned up. Oh, there's some more Space Marines on top of the canyon. And they've got the heavy weapons ready. And they're shooting the Death Guard. What the fuck? Oh, it's the Dark Angels. We've just somehow turned up at the Hollow Mountain.
What?
Because the geometry's changed, don't you know? So they've walked across Terra towards the Hollow Mountain. And not just at any point in Hollow Mountain, the seventh gate of the Hollow Mountain. Yeah, how convenient for the Imperial Fist to turn up at the seventh gate, being the 7th Legion and all.
And Nurgle's number is also 7.
Yes, symbolism. Cypher, who's there, who's there with a bunch of Dark Angel librarians trying to get the Astronomicon back online. He's basically like, why are all these civilians there? They're going to interfere with my work, and I'm trying to get the Astronomicon to work. They're going to spoil everything. And Coruscant's like, look, they're loyal servants of the Emperor, and they could possibly help, considering that, the Death Guard are constantly trying to attack us. Yeah, a meat shield could be useful, is all I'm saying. Okay, fair enough. The civilians are basically huddled together in one of the main choir chambers of the Astronomicon, and they're scared. And Euphrates leads them all in a prayer. And as they're praying, Cypher notices some of the psycho circuitry embedded in the wall starts glowing a bit. He's like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but keep doing it, because we might be able to get the Astronomicon back online through the power of fucking prayer.
What is the Imperium?
No, that's now where I am now so far. Yeah. Emperor and Horus has fight to be continued.
Yeah, I've heard, because I've read a couple of people's spoiler-free-ish reviews, that the way this fight works is, obviously it's going to take a huge chunk of the book, is it's not just going to be a physical fight.
No, there is some metaphysical bullshit mixed in as well.
Yeah, I heard somewhere half the fight's in Horus's head, or some shit.
I haven't gone that far yet, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. What's going to be interesting is obviously Loken's in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Alanius is on his way.
Yep.
And you can't really get in between Horus and the Emperor right now, because fighting at the speed of gods, blur of light and shadow, yada, yada, yada. So, A, who's dying? And B, how are they dying?
I don't know if this is true or not, because I've heard some people saying it, but apparently take this with a pinch of salt if you haven't read the book yourself, but apparently Loken gets killed off by Erebus. Which, if that's true, that's bullshit. I'm sorry.
If that's the case, then yeah, X-Pac heat all the way on Erebus. Fuck Erebus.
Yeah. Fuck Erebus. All my homies hate Erebus. That kind of thing.
Yeah, like,
I don't know if that's true yet, purely on the basis that I've not finished the book yet, so take it with a pinch of salt if you've heard that. But
if that's true, then oh my god, what? No. That's a terrible idea.
I concur.
I'm surprised I haven't found a way to wedge Imperial Fist Terminators in here as well.
Yeah, because, I mean, Dawn's around, but they're literally being kept away, so it's not like the Imperial Fists are with the Emperor, particularly.
No.
No, it's interesting, because... Oh, sorry, go on.
No, you carry on.
I was just saying, like, it's interesting, like, how far through are you? A third? A half? Half. That they've still got to do the fight, which is apparently a huge chunk of the book, and then wrap it all up, because Malcador's got to do his thing, Horus has to do his thing, the Emperor's got to do his thing, Dawn's got to do his thing, Gilliman's got to do his thing, and at some point this war's actually got to stop. So that's a lot to do in half a book, which, we probably could have done this in part 2. The Sanguinius fight's important, and it needed space to breathe, and I'm fine with that. But the Sanguinius fight could have been 2/3 of the way through the book. And everything you've read up to now, well, most of it, like, the Emperor arrives in the throne room and then open with the monologue from Horus. Like, a lot of the stuff that's been said in this book could have been said in part 2 if they just didn't pad it out for 20 minutes.
I will say this. This book does not feel nowhere near as padded as the last two. This one feels like everything so far has a reason, with the possible exception of the Lorgar chapter. I think, if you had to cut something out so far, you could probably get rid of that. But I don't know how it affects the rest of the story so far, so I'm going to hold off on that for now. It feels a lot less stuffed. Like, it feels like everything so far has a place.
Yeah, and if you're going to pad out, then pad the ending. Have you read Lord of the Rings?
Not for a very long time.
The Lord of the Rings, like, the films end with, the full one, like, the Return of the King in particular. Like, because the Return of the King ends about 4 times. Like, there's the Ring ending, where the ring goes into Mount Doom. There's the Shire ending, with the scouring of the Shire. There's the ending, where Frodo goes to the Great Havens. There's Gondor and the Realm of Man's ending, where Aragorn becomes king. Like, that book ends about 4 times, and I appreciate the Lord of the Rings is meant to be one massive epic, so you can get away with it. But if you just read The Return of the King, like, in full, Mount Doom's like, what, 2/3 of the way through? Halfway through? I can't remember exactly, but it's not exactly the last thing that happens in the book. So, if historical literature's taught us anything, if you're going to pad the ending, because you can end the book in 4 different places. You've got the Horus ending with the Emperor, and then you've got the Emperor's ending with his installation on the Golden Throne. You've got Gilliman's ending with the building of the new Imperium, and then you can tie everybody else up partway through. Why pad the middle and annoy everyone that you're padding out the middle when everyone will be quite happy to read about all the wrap-up, and he's going to do all that wrap-up anyway, but he's now got to do it way, way faster.
Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got nothing against, like, padding for the sake of, got a lot of information to squeeze in. But if we talked about, when you read part 2, about 5 to 12 chapters that could have just been removed.
Yeah, literally the first 2 chapters of the second book could be gone, and it's like it would have no effect on the plot whatsoever. Because the first chapter was like, oh, the Harlequins are doing the dance of the end and the death, roll credits, and chapter 2 was just Kelbor Hall screaming because the clocks had stopped.
Yeah, and there's several chapters like that in part 2. If you trim the fat down out of part 2 and have part 3 or part 2 end with the Emperor reaches the throne room. Like, you can switch a few bits round, so maybe some of the bits you said before the Emperor arrives happen after, but you could easily do Sanguinius's death about 3/4 of the way through part 2, if you trimmed it, and then do all the Black Rage stuff, which is, like, the echoes of Sanguinius's death, and put that in part 2, and then have the Emperor reach the Vengeful Spirits command deck at the end of part 2, and then the Guilliman opens part 3. I think that could have been done to give part 3 maybe 5 more chapters to breathe through its ending, because we don't know how tight the ending's going to be, but there's a lot of stuff to wrap up in part 3.
Also, I'm going to say supposedly, because I completely forgot, because I'm reading a digital copy, so I can't just easily go back to the beginning without losing my place, because like Kindles are fucking annoying in that regard. But anyway, apparently Dan Abnett actually also got the number of Gloriana cruisers wrong, because apparently he said like only 20 were ever made, when I'm pretty sure there was at least 24.
Yeah, because obviously each Primarch had one, so that's 20.
The Imperial Army had one at least.
The Bucephalus and the other Emperor one, there were 2 for the Emperor. There was the Bucephalus and
the other one.
Oh, what was
the one that
other
got blown
called?
up.
I can't remember its bloody name now. Hold on. This is where I wish I hadn't lost all my...
Don't the Alpha Legion have 2 as well?
Did they?
The Alpha and the Beta.
Oh, yeah.
One was Alpharis's flagship, the other one was the Omegon's.
Yeah, I didn't realize... I couldn't remember if they actually had 2, because that kind of snuck in the fact that there were 2 Primarchs. So, there's the Burden of Duty, the Invincible Reason, the Dark Angels have 3.
Yeah, it checks out. Because of course the Dark Angels have 3 Glorianas.
So,
yeah, we got 3 Glorianas and a whole squad of Men of Iron because we're special. So shut the fuck up, Lion.
The Imperial Fists have 2. Plus, obviously, so they've got the Burden of Duty and the Eternal Crusader.
Yep.
The Swords of Horus have 2, because the Harbinger of Doom, as it's now called, formerly known as Magna Tyrannis.
Mm-hmm.
The Wordbearers have 2, because the Nemesis chapter have 1. The Chronicle of Ashes, now the Lex Talionis.
Lex Talionis by Rotten Christ was such a good song. For those
actually, it states at the bottom of the Lexicanum article, there is this canon conflict is stated as being something that happens at the start of part 3. You have remembered that correctly.
Hooray!
Yeah. What were hang on. I swear the Emperor had, 2. What was the Emperor's flagships?
The Bucephalus was 1. It definitely was 1. Imperator Somnium.
Imperator Somnium! Damn it! Yeah, Imperator Somnium. That's it. So yeah, the Emperor had 2. The Dark Angels had 3.
Apparently the Imperator Somnium was not a Gloriana. Apparently it's even bigger.
Oh, that will be why it's... And I'm assuming the Bucephalus was as well then. Or it was just an older model, so it wasn't a Gloriana.
It was one of the 3 flagships of the Emperor.
What was the third one?
I have no fucking... What was the other one? It just says 3, apparently. See also Bucephalus. It doesn't say, it just gives names for the first 2, but according to Lexicon, there's 3 of them, apparently. And
I usually trust Lexicon.
What was the name of the ship he arrived on Mars with?
The Imperator Somnium, I think it was, because that was constructed on Terra.
My copy of Mechanicum's in another room.
Apparently the source for there being 3 being cited is Mortis, the Siege of Terra novel, apparently.
Yeah, 3A, yeah, chapter 12 and chapter 14, apparently.
God, what would be the third one, then?
Yeah, it's worth noting that the Imperator Somnium is not the ship that went to Mars.
Was that the
because because the Somnium was used at Ullanor.
Right.
The Bucephalus...
Yeah, the Bucephalus was so big it generated its own gravity field.
Yeah, it was involved in Juros Thravian, and that's literally all we know about it. Apparently,
it was named after his horse.
Yeah, after Alexander's horse, which is funny.
Well, because the Emperor was Alexander, remember?
Well, yeah, I know, but that's partly why it's funny. because you managed to be Alexander the Great, and literally 32,000 years later, he still can't get over having that name for his fucking horse.
He loved that horse.
Yeah, well, it says it's mentioned twice in bloody Mortis, which is Siege of Terror 5. So it's not that far back that this information's come up. So I don't know. It's not like old lore, that's for sure.
Mm. If anyone knows the name of the third ship, please leave a comment down below. Because we're probably having brain farts at this point, we don't actually remember. But anyway, unless anyone has any questions, I think we'll be coming out of the spoiler room.
Yeah, because it's an hour and 45 minutes into the episode. I think we've been talking about the end of the death for over half an hour.
Okay, so...
I can't think of anything funny to say about it.
Okay, so welcome back from the spoilers. I can't believe that the Emperor managed to pull off a Hurricanrana, but anyway.
Yeah, and apologies that when the end and the death is a thing that we spent literally half an episode talking about it. Well, not sorry, because, like, it's a very, 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 very important book, and it's a very, very important series, and, you know, there's a lot to say. So, if you want to read it, go read it. If you're not going to read it, then rewind about half an hour.
Right, do we have time for questions?
We might do. There were a couple of questions on the previous episode, so I think we should be able to sneak a couple in. No, that's not relevant. That's about what a guardsman's salary is. I don't think that's ever mentioned anywhere.
It depends on the world. It depends upon the world and the regiment, because, like, some guardsmen get salaries, some don't. Like, in the case of, like, you know, the Savlar Chem Dogs, your salary is whatever you can take off the battlefield.
Yeah, basically. Okay, well, there's one here that I think I can, because there's, like, only a couple of questions. What is, excluding the Emperor and Magnus, the single greatest feat of power achieved by a single Psyker?
I vaguely remember Iskandar Kaon in the Black Legion was literally using his powers to, like, grab a battleship and yeet it at a planet.
That sounds like something he did. Was that? That wasn't the Flesh Market.
That was what was the name of the world? It was the world where Fabius Bal was conducting his clone research on. Paradise,
was it the Flesh Market? Oh, was it the Flesh Market? Was Fabius Bal's ship? Was that the ship that he threw?
No, it was some other ship, I think.
Yeah, give me a second. I'm just gonna remind myself.
But it was definitely something that he did. He just, like, went yeet. He basically went, what was his name? Oh, what was the guy from Force Unleashed? Starkiller. That's it.
Yeah, that's who
Starkiller with
a
a Star Destroyer. Yeet.
I'm just sorry. I'm just trying to read the quick short. It wasn't the Flesh Market. That was something else entirely. Oh, that's
Battle of Harmony.
Because I'm reading.
Yeah, he threw the ship, the Tlaloc. Tlaloc. Oh, Tlaloc. It's Tlaol. It's like.
Oh, didn't he, like, drag that ship through the warp the entire time?
Yeah, he did.
As well.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just he could move the ship, he could actually drag it along with his psychic powers as well.
Yeah, he Starkillered it, yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't just do it to throw it at a planet, he, like, full on did it the whole time.
Yeah.
Which is really impressive.
I can't think of anything but top that.
Top of my head, no. Like, I mean, you've got to give credit to just about any Psyker that can go anywhere near the eye. Like, it's not raw power in the same way. That is pretty bloody impressive in terms of pure physics.
Oh, I can't remember what the source was, but wasn't there also, like, an incident with, like there was a Psyker that was, like, a little girl or something, and she, like, managed to, like, crush a Warlord Titan, like, with her powers, like an egg. Like, I vaguely remember something like that.
Something like that sounds familiar, but...
And she went full fucking Akira on it. Speaking of, have you watched Akira yet?
What do you think?
If you think Tactica Imperialis should watch Akira, leave a comment down below.
So the Alpha Plus Psychers. I'm just going to do a quick search, like these in terms of Alpha Plus Psychers, because that's. So yeah.
Even on the time as well. Sorry to rush you.
Yeah, I'm just looking at like if there's any like things written about the Alpha Plus Psychers or anything they can realistically like they've been seen to do that's utter bullshit. Oh yeah, actually, in theory, there is nothing that a trained Plus Psyker cannot do, from snapping a Titan in half to summoning a legion of demons. In theory.
In theory.
Yeah, there's no reference of like something that a particular Alpha Plus Psyker did, but I know like actually the highest level of Psyker that's ever been registered is Gamma Plus, not Alpha Plus.
Oh.
So yeah, so Alpha Plus is like the state of mind that comes with a level of insanity. Beta Plus is the highest you can withstand with a touch of sanity, but the highest ever registered level is Gamma Plus, and the highest that won't utterly destroy your body is apparently Zeta Plus, which is 22 plus on the scale. There is apparently such a thing as Omega Plus, but would rely you having non-corporeal structures for your mind to survive.
So basically the Emperor.
Yeah, broadly.
Right.
So yeah, that's the best I've got. But the theoreticals of what a psychic can do are completely anything you want. So if you want to write some homebrew, I'm sure you could ask Tuppy about some homebrew stuff. And you could come up with a psyker that snapped a Titan in half. Yes.
There have been homebrews of that kind of caliber before.
Well, it's still law compliant. Actually, I'll end on that because there aren't that many questions on the episode. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that goes on Homebrew of the Week, but then your own content and things you've done with your server as well. What would you say is probably that hasn't gone through Homebrew of the Week, etc.? What is your favourite piece of Homebrew that you can call off the top of your head that isn't your own?
That's a good question. There's some really good ones on the Homebrew server, and I've been on Homebrew of the Week. Honestly, I think one of my favourite ones at the moment is one about a Imperial Guard regiment, and the guy who's been writing it has been doing it from perspective of letters being written home, and talking about what it's like being on patrol, and it's just been a consistently like interesting read. It's called A Malshi Hive Grinders. And I think that's probably my favorite because it's just been like a nice like feed of like story going on there. Trying to think what other ones really stand out.
One that I really liked was Dazgood Tooth Ripper's College of Orconomics.
Yes.
The Orc Finance School. That one. That's great.
Oh God.
That was going to be the second one I brought up.
And there was also one person who had the Cornate Rattlings. They were great. Like the Cannibal Rattlings. They were fantastic. I like that one.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm just looking through the list of all the channels. And yeah, it's...
But given the time, ladies and gentlemen, we shall call it there for this episode. So, thank you very much to everyone who tuned in for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. And thank you very much to Tuppy for joining us this episode.
It's been a pleasure.
Why did it take 193 episodes to make that happen? Considering how much you work with each other, how did it take that long?
God knows.
I don't know.
But anyway, until next time, this has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
This has been Neve from Tactica Imperialis.
And I've been Tuppy.
And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.